There are approximately 28,000 U.S. World War II veterans alive today. Western Hills Country Club is fortunate to have 4 of these American heroes as members: Bill Snyder, Earl Conklin, and Harry and Don Blaney. These gentlemen were part of the 16 million America's Greatest Generation that played a part in World War II. Earl was awarded the Purple Heart for wounds sustained by enemy fire on April 4, 1945, and Bill was awarded the Purple Heart with Gold Star for being wounded in action on 2 separate occasions. We thank these men and all their comrades in arms for their service and for providing the peace and prosperity that generations of Americans have enjoyed. We salute them. We hope you enjoy their stories.
Before I get into all of this, I would like to make a couple of observations. War is hell. War's not like the movies. In the Marine Corps, you never moved at night. You're liable to get shot. We went to an island called Pavuvu, which was a very small island. We were using live fire, and we had a bazooka there. And I was worried about a bazooka. You put a missile in it, in effect, and the fellow in the back lines up all the wires and bing. And that's when I got my first experience of combat. I went down there and said, now you be very careful. The tube's empty and the wires are right. I got halfway back up on the hill, and that thing went off on the tube. Well, you just can imagine what happened.
I followed, as I often did, whatever my older brother did, like join the Boy Scouts, then I joined the Boy Scouts. Go down to X high school, I went down to X high school. Everything he did, I did. And so I joined the Air Force. The war was going our way, and they were slowing down, moving us quickly forward into flight training. We trained on B-29s. Well, that was the largest bomber in the Second World War. It was designed to have a long range, could travel many miles without refueling, and had the capabilities of carrying a bomb load. As I recall, I think it was around 20,000 pounds that we would carry, but that was stretching it. That's why it was so important to us to have the Marines go into and secure Iwo Jima, so that if coming back from the target, we had a place that if we were running quite low on fuel, or if we were damaged from enemy action and not capable of making it all the way back to our home base, we could land there at Iwo Jima as an emergency. Well, I flew 18 missions, and the nature of the missions was most of our missions were made at night. That way we had a little less combat with the Japanese fighter planes.
I was getting ready to assault a village, and I heard this whistling sound, and it was artillery, and I knew what it was, but the old saying is you never hear the one that hits you. Well, that's not entirely true. So it hit 6 or 7 feet from where we were sitting. I got up out of the trench where we were and started running across the field, and it was all wet grass. And I went about 15 feet and I collapsed. The next thing I know, I'm on a stretcher. I spent about 10 days in the hospital before I could get back to duty.
Okinawa was the largest island we had ever encountered. It was roughly 60 miles long and 10 miles wide. The Japanese decided that they would defend Okinawa on the hills and in the caves about middle way down the island. However, they wanted to make sure that the northern part of the island was cleared out. So they sent a part of Able Company, of which I was a part. I had the 2nd platoon, and on the 4th day, we met resistance, and I was firing my carbine in a combat situation, and all of a sudden I felt myself laying flat on my back. I had been hit, and I laid there until these stretcher bearers came up and they put me on a... I was in the hospital at Guam for 2 or 3 weeks, and like most young lieutenants, they were gung-ho to get back to their troops.
The second time I was running through a minefield, and some sniper was trying to get me, and I was zigzagging, and at any rate, something went off in the back of me. I don't know if he hit a mine or whether it was artillery, but the next thing I woke up kind of hazy, and I was up to my chin in water, and I guess it was a shell hole or a pond, whatever, and 2 guys were pulling me out. About that time I passed out. I woke up the next morning, I was kind of hazy about this, but I heard some people talking, and it was Graves registration, that, well, they had left me outside on a stretcher with my poncho over me. I was able to reach out and grab a shoestring, and the guy says, "Holy shit, I think this one's alive." And then I woke up the next day, and they said that they had taken out 28 ordnance fragments from either whatever it was that blew up. And so I was in the hospital for another 10 days or so. On the 2nd of July, Sergeant Byrd came up to me and said, "Snyder," he says, "take your gear over to headquarters company." And I said, "Why am I doing that?" And he says, "Because you're going home. We got a directive that said all people with multiple Purple Hearts are to be shipped home." So that wasn't the worst news I ever heard.
And that was basketball season when I went back. And we used to go to games after every game, we'd go down to the bar and be thankful we were there at the bar. God took care of us.